Hi everyone, welcome back to Troubled. This week we've got a really awesome episode. We have Rose Cardella, a guest on our podcast, our first one. Rose is an alumni of Cross Creek Academies. I think that's what it's called, Cross Creek Schools out in Utah. They are a WASP program. I'll let Rose explain all about that because we do go into it. I know that Miranda told her story last week. I'm still working on mine, so stay tuned for that in future episodes. There are a bit of audio issues. We recorded this podcast being in 3 different time zones, so just be aware of that. But, that's kind of our style. This is raw, gritty, So, thanks for tuning in and enjoy the episode.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Troubled, a podcast. Today, we have a very special guest on our show, on our podcast. Rose Cardella is our guest today. Say hi, Rose.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Rose. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. Miranda, I'm going to pass this off to you.
Because I'm the one obsessed with Rose.
Because you're the beating heart of this podcast.
What she knows is that I fall down the rabbit hole, and that's how I found you and binged pretty much your entire podcast. So basically, heads up, guys, thanks to Rose for the Time Out Room. She's a Cross Creek survivor. That podcast heavily inspired and influenced us, and we use Anchor because Rose suggested it and all that jazz. So, thank you so much for your inspiration and support.
Oh, my God. Thank you. That's so cool.
I know how your stuff's going to influence other people, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I, record it, and then it's weird that people, listen to it,
Will you keep me, comforted on, my long trips? When I do long car rides, I pop on one of yours. And you and your friends are the best. It's I have friends, too, so it's great.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've, listened to you guys, in the bathtub. I'm oh, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I'm alone in a bathtub.
In a bath. I love it. That is awesome because that's also something cool that I love about your podcast, Rose, and our podcast is that we're not all this isn't a family school podcast or a Cross Creek podcast. It's we each have our stories, but I love that we've had different, and I'm sure we'll get into what kinds of punishments and stuff, because I was listening to one of your podcasts and it was you had to do tapes or something, and I was these punishments just have the funniest names.
I know,
it's so weird.
Well, they're all really different, but I think the general parts of the programs are pretty similar if you really just look into it, but they're all called different things, and it's slightly different, but they're all pretty much the same. The root is the same,
Absolutely.
In and on, you guys, our big daddy.
Yeah, and for anyone who wants to look up Cross Creek, it's a WASP school. So,
yeah, Rose, what's WASP? Because we're NatSep. Tell us what WASP is.
WASP is Worldwide Association of Specialties in Schools. And there's so many programs affiliated with WASP. So many. And then they just started kind of slowly shutting down. But I think they all began in the late 80s.
Yeah. Cross Creek school.
Cross Creek was actually the last one to shut down.
Oh, wow. It was first and last?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is kind of, yeah. Because supposedly it was, it was the hotel of it all. We were kind of told that we were so privileged to be in the nicest program.
I mean, I guess by comparison with Tranquility Bay and Casa by the Sea, someone could make that argument, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I have friends that ended up at Cross Creek, but that were at Casa or got sent to Tranquility because they were so terrible. We kind of all got threatened with getting sent there. And it was horrible, but they have all said that it was more physically horrible. And that Cross Creek was definitely more psychologically horrible. So you choose your, you pick your poison.
Yeah. Well, what do you think long-term effects wise? Do you think that the comparison even matters?
I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I think me specifically, like, physical stuff is easier for me to deal with. You know what I mean? Like, pain and all of that stuff is very temporary in my mind. And psychological stuff, like, I didn't think I realized how much it was affecting me until like years and years after I got out. And then I realized, like, oh my God, like, I have so much stuff because of that. And I just feel like the effects lasted longer, but that's just me. I can't, I don't know about anybody else, but I feel like physical abuse would have been maybe easier for me to deal with. And I don't remember all that stuff as more like I remember all the other stuff.
I think that's a phenomenon with survivors of institutional abuse and maybe in general. It seems like when you watch the documentaries, it's like 10, 15 years later when people finally start to put two and two together.
Yeah, it took me a really long time. And I was actually kind of one of the first of people I knew to really like dive into that and talk about it and realize it. And then I have friends that are like literally just now this year, like putting that together. Like they never thought about it. And it's 15 years later. And they're like, wow, that place really like messed me up. So it takes a while. And I think there's something weird about like turning 30. Like when you get into your early 30s, like there's something weird that happens.
Totally.
And you're like, just pieces kind of come together. And I had a really hard time like turning 30. Like a lot of stuff was going on and I was realizing a lot of stuff that my parents had done even before the program and then the program, and it just was like a really hard 2 years right there, where I just kind of realized a lot.
So how old are you? You just turned 30 this year?
No, I'm 32.
Oh yeah. I'm 33 and Miranda's 33 too. Yeah. I don't know if that was the same for me. It's been like kind of a process. I'm still like kind of processing it all. It's like, I feel like it wasn't an age thing for me. It was like certain things that happened. Yeah. Certain like people that died. But I'm curious to know, and I don't know if this is on our agenda, Miranda. I'm curious to know, like, sorry, I'm like improving it hardcore here. What was like the, like, if you could briefly go over, like, what was the, like, catalyst of sending you there? And then, like, if you could, like, briefly maybe kind of, like, go over what your experience was like what, just, like, briefly, because I just, like, kind of want to, like, because most people listening to our podcast is like going to be familiar with well, maybe not most, but like they're going to be familiar with like family school kinds of things. And I just kind of like want to compare the two. I don't know. I just want to follow that thought.
So let's see. So I got sent, I was 16. And I was escorted. So I was, kidnapped in the middle of the night, taken.
Oof.
So rough. That was not, that was not a fun time.
Was that like water thrown on you in your bed and just like handcuffed?
I didn't get water, but I just like awoke, like, I think it was like 4 a.m. in the morning, to people like standing over me saying, "You're in our custody. You have to come with us."
Oh my God.
And then I was like thrown in the back of a car with like, I had like socks and like my pajamas on that were like not really pajamas. And just driven to Utah, and I'm in Colorado. So that's like a 10-hour drive.
Wow.
Were your parents there? Did they let you know that they knew what was going on, or was this, to your perspective, like a genuine abduction?
I saw my dad on the way to the car, so he was like in the hallway, but I didn't see him initially when I was like getting taken.
Right.
But hearing like you're in our custody kind of just gave me that picture of like, oh, my parents know, you know?
Of course my parents did this. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't think I was getting like abducted, but I mean, I was also like half asleep and it just happened so fast. And I was just like, what are you talking? Like, I was like, what is this? What is going on? You know, like it was just so, it just felt so illegal.
Yeah, as it should be.
Yeah.
How is it not?
And then, you know, my mom like put a suitcase in the back of the car and that was it. I was like screaming and probably telling my parents I hated them and, you know, all the stuff that normally happens when you get escorted.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, that was a root of a lot of, you know, PTSD was just those 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And what was like your experience like there? Like you arrive and
Yeah, how do they intake you guys at Cross Creek?
Yeah.
Intake is a lot like half kind of being intaked into prison probably and half like you get a group of girls that are already brainwashed that come tell you about it. And
Wow.
they're girls that are going to be part of your group. And they're just like, okay, this is kind of what happens. Like, you know, there's these rules and we go to school and, we do this during the day and these are kind of the rules that we have to do. And, we see our therapist. They kind of gave me the rundown on my therapist and they're like, oh, but this place is so great. And, I've been here for this long and this is why I got sent here. And it's just the best thing in the world. And, you know, the hearing how long those girls had already been there was like, I mean, I just couldn't, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be here that long. Like, that's insane. Like, my parents are going to come take me home. Like, they don't know what this is really like. Like, if I can just get a hold of them, you know? And then you do the whole, like, lice thing and squat and cough in the shower and you get put
I was just going to ask you if you had to cough.
Oh my God. Yeah. So horrible.
So embarrassing.
I mean, it was like, literally you get there and within 20 minutes you have nothing of your life. I mean, everything is literally taken. I had, you know, if you have piercings, they take them out. I had acrylic nails on that I had just put on and they like ripped them off of me. Like it was just everything about yourself. Even my hair, like they make you do the lice thing and then wash it out. And then your hair is just like wet. So now I'm just this frizzy, non-makeup mess, you know?
And you're a teenager, so that is not how you would be if it was your choice.
Oh my God. I was like, and I still, I mean, I do hair and makeup and nails on people. That's like my job. And so it's a very important thing to me. And especially as a teenager, I mean, that was like my whole world. And just the thought of not being able to do that was like, I mean, it sounds so stupid, but it was a really, I mean, they just take your identity completely away right away.
Right, which isn't stupid at all. That's very serious and deliberate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a similar situation to the family school as well,
Mm-hmm.
where they literally, like, I brought, like, not in sync, I brought, like, CDs to listen to, and they, like, took half of them away because we couldn't listen to, like, certain kinds of music.
Oh, we couldn't listen to music at all.
Yeah, we barely had any. It was just some Christian stuff, right?
Yeah, we listened to a lot of, like, Reliant K.
That was, we had to fight
Enya.
for that. That's a whole other thing. And yeah.
So how did you guys listen to music? Was it like on?
Well, we didn't really like listen to it individually. Like I had a CD player that they took away that I brought with me. A CD player. Ha! And like I had a bunch of CDs with me and I think they actually gave them all back to my parents. But we were like on weekends we would sometimes, you know, if you were behaving well, because there was these kinds of like kids who were doing well with the program and kids who were like constantly punished and in trouble. And like, if you were doing well, you got to watch a movie on Saturday night, or you got to listen to music, or you got to, you had like special privileges. So like, but if you were in the corner or something, like if you had a punishment, you had to like literally face the wall the whole time while everyone else is like eating popcorn and candy and watching funny movies and listening to music. You just had to like ignore it and sit like facing the wall all night. But like there were certain times where it was like you were rewarded. Like I don't know if we were like cleaning, like we did Saturday mornings where we cleaned our whole like family, like our whole living quarters, and not where we slept, but like where we were during the daytime. And like sometimes they would play music, but it was never like rap music was out the window. You could never listen to rap. You could never, like, I think me and one other person in my family loved like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys at that time. So we would put on that, but like people hated it. I don't know. We would just listen to like, you know, a lot of Christian rock, Christian country bands. We listened to CCR. Like that's where I learned Bad Mood Arising. Literally, like that's like such a famous song, and literally I associate it with the family school because it's like the song that was on repeat all the time during like, we would have like we would say prayers before we went up to our dorms, and like it would be Enya, like this Christian stuff. We would like say prayers and take like 10 minutes to like, I don't know, some bullshit, but like, and it was, we would always listen to like, well, most of the time, Miranda, I don't know if you if you remember that a lot, but that was something that, cause I was there for almost 3 years. Miranda was only there for less than a year. So it's like,
yeah, I'm the least abused, guys. It's fine. But
it's fine.
So we're at Cross Creek. We just get intaped. And so how is it set up, and what is like your basic structure?
Yeah.
Oh man. So there's the girl side and the boy side. Boy side, you have no contact with at all. So I didn't even really know there was a boy side until way later. And there's like, I don't know, maybe like 8 groups of girls. Each group has their own therapist, family rep. And you basically do structure all day. Like you wake up and you go to your, you know, group room and you do group therapy, and then you have review meeting, and then you have breakfast, and then you have lunch, and you have leisure time, and then you have dinner, and you know, so it's like all segued out. And then weekends are slightly different, and you get one-on-one therapy once a week. If you earn it, you can get that taken away. And you go to school like 4 hours a day, I think. And with no teachers, it's just book work. And you just do that every day, all day, and then get yelled at a lot.
So you didn't have any like classes? Did you like did you fulfill like requirements to get your diploma and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I did my whole senior year at Cross Creek. And I guess my transcripts were, you know, like faxed over or whatever. So they knew what I needed. And then you take you read a book and then you take the test. And then if you don't get 80% or above, you have to retake the test. And so you basically just do homework, or you just do schoolwork like that until you're finished. But you can't talk about or anything when that school time is over. So
you can't talk about what?
You can't talk about schoolwork.
Interesting.
Yeah, like there's no like those, every single piece of paper that's dealt with school or anything is like locked away in that room, and you can't talk about it because it's cheating.
Okay.
Yeah. So school was like really like, you know, I liked that time because I kind of felt like a little normal when I'm doing algebra, you know. But
that kind of reminds me. That kind of actually reminds me of when I was in a psych ward. They had I went to like an actual like hospital psych ward where you had like your schoolroom, and I actually that like triggers my memory of like I had to like keep all my school stuff in that room, and like I couldn't bring it to like the therapeutic hospital part.
Right. I mean, it doesn't leave that room at all. It's really weird.
That's so
So
strange.
it's not like you can work on school during the rest of the time. Like the only homework that you can do during the day is like therapy homework.
Therapy homework.
Yeah. Like if they have to, we had to write a lot. I don't know if you guys had to, but we had to write like the amount of pages I had to write on myself is like books worth. I mean, it's a lot of stuff just about like one event or like anything, just completely broken down. And like when you get there, I don't know if you guys had to do this, but we had to do our confession letters. So it was like literally everything you've ever done. And I had to rewrite mine 3 times because the first time was not enough. So by the end of it, I actually just like made shit up, which a lot of girls did. Because I was like,
feel
okay,
that.
I guess the truth is not enough. Like,
I guess the truth is not enough.
So I made some stuff up, and my mom like thought some of that stuff was true up until like maybe 5 years ago. She thought that I like prostituted myself.
Wow, that's what it's
like. Oh yeah, no, that's not true.
But I feel like they like make you do that. Like there were so many times where people would tell me like, that's not true. Tell us the truth. Tell us the truth. And like, I never made anything up. I just continued to get punished more and more because they were like, that's not true. That's not true. Yeah. You ate this, or you fucked this person, or you lied to this person. And I was like, no, I didn't.
If you were a prostitute, obviously they did a much better job in rehabilitating you, right? Other than that, why do that? Like, why are they trying to do that with these kids? Like,
I mean, that was just one of the things that I made up. Because they concentrated a lot on my sex life, me specifically.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean the making you exaggerate your situation, but also thank you for bringing that up. It's not just you. There seems to be a perverted preoccupation with the sex life of the kids.
Yeah, because that was a painful thing for someone who was a virgin, i.e. me, that went to the school, and also other kids there that like had a fucking abortions. Like that was just like before they came to the school.
Or sexual assault.
Yeah, or just like or just maybe they like had issues with masturbation and things like that, and like it seemed to just be like a fucking thing.
But was that the same way there?
Yeah, it was talked about all the time, even with the girls that were virgins, because they still wanted male acceptance, which was a huge thing that we were, they talked about. And just, I had, at the age of 16, I had already slept with a ton of people, and I really was actually proud of that.
Good for you. Own it.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it.
I kind of still am. Like, that's not, I mean, in a different way, I guess. But I had always been a really ugly kid. And so I kind of felt like every guy was a trophy to me in a way.
Makes sense.
And so I had kept track. And I got I had just gotten humiliated for keeping track. I mean, it was like, they just made that a huge thing for me. My therapist would show me pictures of dead prostitutes on the streets, and she's like, that's gonna be you.
Wait, your therapist, do you mean a real therapist, or are you talking about in Cross Creek?
In Cross Creek.
Yeah. Were they real therapists?
I think some of them, but most of them went to uncredited schools. They weren't really and that was their first job. They weren't really
I was gonna say
therapists.
Because it sounds like your school was more based in therapy, actual writing lists, writing journals and things. And I feel like the family school was way more behavioral. You're gonna bow down to me and listen, and we're gonna take that power away from you. If you don't do what we say, or if you're not honest, you're gonna get a punishment. But yours seems to be really therapeutically based, but in a torturing kind of way, using that therapy and the things you say in that therapy against you.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think Cross Creek was advertised as more a therapy place. I know my mom almost sent me to Spring Creek, But she said that I really needed the therapy more, apparently. And so that's why Cross Creek was a little more inviting to her. But I mean, it was just so much it was bad therapy, but I felt like we were doing so much of it all the time. Like even with each other, even with our family rep, even with our program director, like it was just therapy all day. It was bad, but you know, it was definitely like, I think our parents thought that we were getting just 24-hour therapy.
On some level, that may be true.
Yeah. And things that you brought up in one-on-one with your therapist were not one-on-one. I mean, it was like, I could say anything and it would be like brought up in group and people would like give me horrible feedback on it. And it was just like, nothing was safe, you know?
Yeah.
So, feedback coming from your peers as well?
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of like pinning each other against each other.
Yes.
And I mean, girls that you were in a group with, you knew everything about them, which is not really great because we're teenagers. And so you would give feedback to these girls on their therapy, which is like, you're not a therapist, you know what I mean? So it was just destructive and that was like an everyday thing. So
damn, girl, how does that affect your peer-on-peer relationships after you get out of that kind of environment?
I don't really have friends. Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to have friends. And that's a real thing.
That's a real, yeah. Wow. I like feel that. I feel that because for a long time, that was the same thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I really did a lot of like work post family school on that because I do have a lot of friends now, but that was not the case until like I moved to New York like 3 years ago. I feel like I bopped around the country a little bit. Like I was in a couple different states. But like, yeah, I feel like I was always so, I don't know, maybe Miranda, you can relate to this. I was always trying to get like these girls in our family and like these people's attention and like, why don't you like me? And why are you friends with her? And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I just could never be accepted by these people. And I think part of it was because like I was still very naive in many ways. And I really like in my early 20s grew out of that to kind of just like accept, like, I don't know, I just like really changed my perspective. I feel like I would be like, I feel like if I were at the family school today, I would be like, fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, bitch. I don't care if you like me. Suck my dick. Like, that's who I am now. But like at the time, it was like I wanted people to like me so badly that I was like one of those girls who like was just desperate, and so I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely. I think part of it was I was closer to 18 than a lot of the other girls, even though I still had like a year. But I really just wanted to go home, you know? And
so you kind of played the game.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had to.
Okay. Yeah. See, I did not. But go on.
And I wish, like, sometimes I wish I could go back and be honest, because I mean, I didn't want to be in solitary, but like it was dishonest and I knew it was. And but the whole time I feel like I was one of the only ones that like knew this place was bullshit. And I knew that the whole time. And whether I played the game or not, I always knew that. I always had that. And a lot of girls like lost that feeling, I think. And so, and I think people could tell that, like, I was always half in and I just wanted to go home with my friends, you know, like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. So, and that doesn't mean that I didn't get close to a lot of girls, because I did, obviously, because you're in this thing together. But, my focus was going home.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah.
I couldn't, like, no matter what I did, I would, but how long were you there?
I was there about 16 months.
Oh, okay.
So I got there like a month or two before my 17th birthday. And then I left a few months after I turned 18.
I got you. Like you left as in you graduated, or you like were like you left the program.
Yeah, I took my exit plan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yes, girl.
Yeah, I haven't even gotten to that episode in my podcast yet to talk about that whole situation. But huh?
I'm so excited.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be a doozy. But yeah, I turned 18 in August and I left in October.
Wow.
The next, okay.
Yeah, and I always thought I would like, you know, I like romanticized waking up on my 18th birthday and just being like, fuck you guys, and like leaving, but it never works out like that. And you have to like, I mean, I had to sign papers saying I wouldn't do that way before I turned 18.
Really?
Yeah. I still have copies of them. I mean, it's like horrible.
That's insane.
Yeah. And then I get plans.
Well, Miranda, the morning of her 18th birthday, literally walked off, and said goodbye and never came back.
I wish I could have done that, man.
I know. Sorry.
But me, I turned 18 in October, and then I graduated because like ours was a joint, like you graduate, you get your diploma. You can also just graduate the quote unquote program, which I was like, I wasn't like, I needed to graduate high school. Like that was the one thing. I wasn't going to let this fucking place not get me a diploma. I was like dead set on like, no matter how fucked up I was mentally and emotionally, going to college and going and getting a diploma, like that was just like what I expected of myself. So I turned 18 because I got sent there like a month before my 16th birthday. And then I left I left in June after my 18th birthday. So like 9 months later, because I was graduating. I was actually supposed to leave that December because it's a weird thing. They have like graduations every 6 months, but kind of like college, if you will. But like, I just was like, I was supposed to graduate that December. And I was like, great, I'm not, but then like they took my graduation from me and they were like, no, we're making you stay another 6 months. You need more of this bullshit program or whatever. Which I kind of half expected at that point. But like, cause I graduated, I literally had like a big fucking like graduation, all this, like, it was like a huge fucking deal. The graduations that they had. But like,
they're on YouTube.
Are they really?
Yeah, and so are some of the choir things like that. But dude, Meredith, an exit plan means something different at Cross Creek, doesn't it, Rose?
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, because our, so graduating the program and graduating high school are two completely separate things. They have nothing to do with each other. And so I actually graduated high school around when I was supposed to. So like May or June. And they just came into the room and said, you finished all your credits, but you still have to do schoolwork during school. And so I actually took more credits than I needed. And you can't, there's like a college program, but you have to be on level 5 or 6 to even qualify to do it because it's off campus. And I was denied that when I did get phase 5. And so yeah, I had already like graduated high school.
And you were still
like,
there
before I left. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then your exit plan is like, you get it way before you turn 18. And it's basically your parents write it up to say, this is what you get if you decide to leave the program at 18 and not graduate the program. And it's always very scary. And they kind of coach parents to say, like, make it really scary so that they don't take it because they really need to be here. And you have to sign it. Your parents sign it. You get it in therapy. And it comes with that paper that says, like, if I do decide to take this, I will leave in a respectful manner and not make a scene. And I signed that piece of paper and I knew very well what was going to happen if I decided to leave. And that's why I just stayed because mine was so scary.
Well, what was going to happen?
So mine was, I got $50 and a bus ticket to Salt Lake City. and my parents would allow me to call them collect every Sunday.
That's so sweet.
Wait,
Yeah.
and that and that
But
was
they never
that was
wanted
the
to-
de-
They
that
didn't
was
want
the
to
deal
see
if
me
you
again.
stayed.
Yeah, that's if I left at 18.
Oh, you would get $50 just to go to Salt Lake. You'd have to you couldn't see your parents. You could call them on Sundays, but you would be on your own.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. So I ended up taking that in October.
Wait.
Yeah.
So you did this and
I went to Salt Lake City.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What was
By
the
myself.
alternative though? What was the other option? To stay and
Try to graduate.
like
What were
try
they
to
going to give
graduate?
you if you graduated?
Huh?
What were they going to give you if you graduated?
I get to come home in open arms and be at home.
That's seriously it? No, I'm sorry. If I get $50 if I walk and a bus ticket, then I should get maybe like a car, college,
Yeah,
an
no, there's none of
apartment.
that. It's basically like you're going to be homeless in Salt Lake City. Have fun.
And okay, so I just need to know this now. So what happened? So you went through the program, you know what you said, and then you were there for 16 months, you turned 18, you graduated like high school, but then you took this opportunity, you just left on a bus with $50 in your pocket. What happens now?
So yeah, right before I decided to leave, the program director dropped me back to level 2. I was on,
so these were like
5.
levels that you had to earn based upon your.
I mean, it took me that entire time to get phase 5. So going back to level 2 is like, I'm going to be there for another year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he told me to go die in the streets as a whore.
Wow.
Really cool. And so it actually took them a week to let me leave, which is the most illegal because I was already 18. And I said, I need to leave.
That's like kidnapping.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It is.
And they lied saying that they lost my ID, which in fact, after talking to my family rep, was completely false. Because they thought I would end up wanting to stay. And so in the middle of the night, I got taken to the bus station. And there was a bunch of drama with with my group and me leaving and all that. But I get on a bus and I have a trash bag of like my stuff, which is all I have to my name. And I take a bus to Salt Lake, which was like, I mean, I was in southern Utah, and Salt Lake, I mean, it was a very long bus ride. Like, I think I got to Salt Lake in like the next day, like in the wee mornings.
And you're living in Colorado, like you're from Colorado.
Yeah.
So you were in southern Utah, and then they took a bus to like northern Utah, which is where Salt Lake is, or like sort of the middle of the state.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very long bus ride.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this really sweet, like young guy that sat next to me, and I was like so excited to like, like see a boy. And he like gave
so
me
was I.
I was so like, oh my God. And I was like, all I want is a pack of cigarettes, and you have to be 19 to buy a pack of cigarettes in Utah. And so he bought me a pack of cigarettes with my $50 and gave me like my change because I needed change. And we finally got to Salt Lake, and I hung out at that bus station for like a day. Like sitting on the chairs. Like, I think I made a collect call to like, I like 411'd like one of my friends. Like, I just had no idea who to call or like what number. And she wasn't there, but I like talked to her mom. And then I don't even think I got food. I mean, I like walked around Salt Lake for a second with my big trash bag, and there was like all these homeless people, and
shit.
It was really, I was like, I need to look like I know what I'm doing because I'm just sitting in this bus station by myself. And I made friends with the other homeless people. And I finally called my dad. And we talked on the phone
even though
for a
it wasn't
bit.
Sunday.
Right. It was not Sunday. and he ultimately was like, okay, I'm gonna come pick you up.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I waited at the bus station even longer, and he came, picked me up, and drove me back home.
Wow.
And you went back home, and
The rest will be on her podcast episode when she tells us all.
I know.
oh, that's right. Yeah. So we'll have to save
steal it
that.
all from her.
Yeah, we can't. Okay,
I
got you.
know. But yeah, it was I was like, when I left Cross Creek, I was completely aware of what was going to happen, and I did not think my parents were going to come save me. I was under the impression I was going to be homeless, but it was better than being in there.
I mean, ultimately, I think that would terrify me, especially like for me. Well, Miranda clearly had no fear. But I mean, thinking about it where I was, I just couldn't accept that as an option. So like that to me is just so brave and so courageous, because I know so many people who left when they were 18 and they were like, see ya, I've got like 3 things that I have, 3 of my belongings. And I'm just going to walk down this like 7-mile mountain, because ours was at the top of a mountain. And I just can't imagine what that's like. And I mean,
me as a person, like, everyone thinks that's like insane, because I'm not that person. I'm scared of everything.
Right.
So the fact that I had gotten to that point was like, you know, I mean, it was a long time of I just couldn't be there anymore. And it was so powerful that like I didn't care anymore.
Yeah. That's like divine.
Yeah.
I really respect that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I can't even believe I did that. I mean, I wouldn't do that now. Like, that is fucking horrifying. Like, just being like alone in a bus station in Salt Lake, like that's I can't even believe I did that, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, like yeah, that would terrify me right now, nonetheless, when I'm like 18 years old.
Yeah. But just to see a street outside of those walls was like worth it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because we were just completely locked down in there.
Yeah.
Did they have rules on looking out windows and stuff?
Oh yeah, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
Wait,
No.
so this was like a compound.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a prison. It looks like jail for sure.
Wow.
There's like bars and like it's basically a square. The building is like a square of itself, and it's just, you're just inside. There's no outside.
And the place now, we were looking up, it's like
a motel.
It's a hotel, a motel now.
Yes, and I went and stayed there.
Ew.
Shit.
Like a haunted episode. Like, if you'd done a video of it, it would have been kind of horrifying.
Well, yeah. I mean, I went with a girl that I was there with. We took a road trip, and we took the same way, because we were both escorted. So we took the same route that we got escorted in. And
oh my God, that's creepy.
Which is, we were like, dude, this is a long drive to like not know where you're going. Like, I think that was crazy to go back to. And you know, Utah, at least Southern Utah, is like very
barren.
It's horrible. It's scary. Like,
yeah, this looks like straight out of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, it is. It does. That's pretty real. Like, it looks, and the people are not nice, you know? They're very small town people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right next to the huge polygamy compounds. I mean, it's like right it's there.
Wow. So I'm looking at it now. You guys are literally right on like a street. I
know. And
on like a big highway.
Yeah. Well, it's not a highway, but it's a big street for them. But it's weird, because we also noticed that when we went back there, I said, oh my God, like Cross Creek is in like the main part of town. Like, this doesn't feel right. And it was just so crazy that like, when you're there, like, we literally thought we were in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you don't hear anything. We never heard cars. We never heard people. we never heard like anything outside.
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
And
it's
you
like
never-
a
and you-
demonic bubble.
And you never went outside?
We had like an outside courtyard that was like in the square of the building of itself. So if you actually like left the facility, it was an off-grounds pass that you had to earn, or you were a high phase. And obviously those comes with like a lot of rules attached to it. You can't just like, you know, go off with your parents for a day and like be normal. But yeah, that was the only times that you left.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is literally like prison, because we had a compound, but like it was like on the top of a mountain in the Catskills, like sprawling. You could go outside. You couldn't really leave it was kind of like a big college campus.
Right. See,
Ours
that
was.
sounds like awesome.
What'd you say,
That
Miranda?
sounds so great.
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
epic.
I mean, it sounds idyllic, and I think that that's like what like people, like what parents were like, oh my God, you can like garden and play ball and go down by the lake. But like,
Right.
it's really, but it was
That was not my experience.
but it was not quite the summer camp I think it was
Right.
marketed to be.
Well, and like our high phases like got a lot more privileges, and they got to do stuff off campus.
Mm-hmm.
But that's phase 5 and 6. You've already been there for a year or more. Do you know what I mean? To get to that point. And I think your parents kind of think that that's the whole thing. And it's like, no, I have this whole time where I have to earn that. And,
Yeah.
you know, which is most of your program.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're high phase, you can get dropped and do the whole thing over again. So it's
Kind of like what happened to you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
We
that
didn't
was
call
very
them,
scary.
we didn't call it like phases, but like you kind of like moved up in your program. You became like a junior sponsor to someone else.
Right.
Or like we had these things. I guess what your equivalent of phase 5 would be people who were RAs for us. They had like this little anchor pin, and they were called I guess RA stands for resident anchor. I don't know. Which basically I feel like it didn't mean anything other than you can like walk around the school by yourself. If you were
Meredith, the anchor guys were always the ones calling people out in the families.
Yeah,
like-
but I don't think they had like any other kinds of like privileges other than to just be like
Everybody believed.
they were like masters of their program.
Yeah, so they could say whatever they wanted, and everyone was like, "Oh, that totally happened. Let's totally do."
Yeah. And maybe that did happen. I wouldn't be aware of it because I was so fucking not that I drank the juice, but I just like didn't fight back. I didn't like lie and say, yeah, I fucking did that. I like told the truth and like denied everything and just got in more trouble. So I was never an anchor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a high phase for like 5 minutes. Like it wasn't that long.
Right.
But
If they let you had it for longer, maybe you would have done the work to get back up there after they dropped you.
no, I was already 18. Like at that point, like that just seems so crazy to me. And I think if I hadn't about to get dropped, I might have finished. You know, like the girls that I might have graduated with probably graduated that February. But being dropped, I was like, dude, I'm not gonna I can't drink the juice anymore, you know? Like I can't tell you that I want to do this anymore. This is insane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I just gave up, man. I was like, this is just silly.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to start my life, you know? I want to go home. But obviously going home was not an option, but it worked out, I guess, in the end. Like, thanks, Dad, for picking me up. But
yeah.
And that wasn't like a great moment, you know? It wasn't like we like ran into each other's arms. Like it was kind of, he was disappointed and it was just weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Thanks for being disappointed that I didn't allow myself to be further abused at like the cost of my college fund.
Right.
Can we talk about a little bit before we wrap up about like the kinds of abuse and the kinds of things? Like, I know you said you only got in trouble a few times, but I think I actually said that on your podcast.
Yeah.
But like, what kinds of things were you witness to? I'm curious.
Well, there's different levels. There's like, so we had special needs, which is like solitary. But solitary where you're being watched. It's not like you're by yourself. So you're constantly being like, you just sit in the middle of a tiled room with like Indian style legs and your hand showing, and you just sit there all day.
All day?
Yeah.
That's a punishment, just to like sit there with your hands.
Yeah, and all night.
Torture is what that is. That would drive people crazy.
Yeah, that's like a wow, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And they write, so you have 2 staff in the room that just sit there like a TV and watch you, and then they write like at 12:45 Rose scratched her nose or whatever. But but you're also not allowed to scratch your nose unless you ask. You have to raise your hand to be acknowledged.
Do you have to like ask to fart or something? Like,
so you can't do that. That's a rude act.
Oh my God.
And that's actually a rule for the whole facility all the time.
Oh my God.
That's not like a you're in trouble thing. But when you're in trouble, I mean, they take everything away from you again. So you're like back to square one, like lower than square one. So they take you can't have your shoelaces. You can't have a hair tie. You have to wear an orange shirt now. So they take your like, button down away.
Oh my God. It literally is like prison.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the room that you're in when you're in trouble is like freezing cold. Like it's frigid in there.
Did that ever happen to you?
Yeah. I went to worksheets twice. The first time was like 2 weeks, and then the second time was a week. You go to bed later, you wake up earlier, so you're exhausted.
you were sitting in this room for a week?
Yeah. Well,
like during
the first time. Not special needs room, but worksheets room. So there's 2 different things. So if you're like physically crazy and like making a scene and like screaming, you go to special needs solitary. Or if the program director just doesn't like you and he's like, you just need to spend a week in solitary, he'll do that too. Or if you're like in trouble. Well, some girls were up there for like months.
That's insane. That's completely... Yeah. I don't understand how they have laws against it with adults, but not with youth in a lot of states.
Yeah. I mean, they would like, if you were like causing a scene in the hallway, right? And you're like screaming and whatever. There's this huge Samoan man who probably weighs 500 pounds, and he'll come sit on you and restrain you and drag you up to special needs.
Yeah, I would be special needs after a giant Samoan man sat on me.
Wow.
I know. So yeah, I never went up to I went up to special needs like before I took my exit plan, because that's where they had me wait, because people weren't allowed to watch me leave. And so that was the only reason why I even knew what it looked like in there, because you're not supposed to talk about special needs, really.
There's a lot of things you're not allowed to talk about.
Like, you're not really allowed to, like, you're not supposed to, like, really know what goes in there. So if you go to special needs, you're not allowed to talk about what happened in there.
Control the fear through lack of knowledge.
Oh, yeah. That room was, like, we kind of knew where that room was, but didn't really. And it was, like... Wow. It was like this, you kind of like wanted to know, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, Nancy.
So, yeah, but we all knew what happened in worksheets, which is like if you're just in regular trouble, which was bad enough for me, honestly. Like those were those 2 weeks that I spent in worksheets that first time was the worst 2 weeks like of my life.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was horrible.
Like, were you like what would like? I feel like if it were me, I would start to like hallucinate and like see things that aren't there, just from like straight boredom and shit.
I mean, yeah, because you're not allowed to speak. So even just not speaking for 2 weeks is like can make you go crazy.
Well, like, what if you had like what if you had to like pee or something? Did you just raise your hand?
So when you're in that room, the staff will say, okay, bathroom break. And you would raise your hand if you needed to go. And they would take like 4 girls at a time, and you would walk all together in a line to the bathroom. And then it's like the bathroom door has to be open. And you're in like stalls, and then hands on ankles, the whole time. And then you say, can Rose raise her hands? And then you like wipe. And then, Rose is getting dressed. And then when everyone's dressed, you come on out, and then you go back to worksheets.
And then like, so you were in there with other people periodically, other people that had the same punishment.
Oh, that room is filled.
Mm.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But you weren't allowed to talk to each other or do anything.
Oh my God. You can't even look around the room. So you're in those little like wooden chairs, and you have to look down. If you look at another girl that's in trouble, it's indirectly communication, and it's like you're going to be in there way longer.
Yeah, we had that too with the blackouts, Mary. Remember, you couldn't make eye contact with people you were on blackouts with.
Yeah, you couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of, except we weren't sitting in a room.
No, but you were sitting in the rooms with people, or there was isolation. You know, we had isolation.
We had, I think, special needs room is very similar to isolation. We
Right.
had this, it was like a small 4x4 room that like
Yeah.
was filled with piss, and because like you couldn't, that was for the people who were like really like acting out, physically
yeah,
throwing
girls
shit.
would put like feces on the wall and stuff like that, you know.
Yes.
About that.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, that room was like, when I visited the hotel, we snuck into the girls' side. It was like all under construction.
Yes.
And it had looked that the program just got up and left. Like there was still papers on the ground. There was still like shit everywhere. Like it was horrible. And I went into the room that was worksheets, and I was like, oh, this room like has so much bad energy.
Yeah, I
But then
can
it was
imagine.
kind of nice to see it. Like it's just a room, and I was like, it's not freezing cold in here anymore, so that's kind of nice.
Mm.
But yeah, you did not want to be in that room.
So I have some questions for you relative to the relationship jazz. Because I've heard you cover it in your podcast, and earlier you said, oh, friends, like, how are we doing that, you guys? And I agree. But also, when we were talking earlier about the preoccupation with the sex drive, do you think that this whole watching it with other girls and having it happen to you in this environment, do you think it's affected your romantic relationships and the way you went, maybe periods or cycles you went through relative to like your sexuality?
That's a good question.
I asked because it sounds like we both like play with celibacy from time to time as like controlling.
I did have a incident with a male stripper, but besides that, yes.
He's working.
No, well, I brought him home with me, but that's yeah.
That's like another podcast.
Yeah. I don't know. I've always been a very sexual kid. So I was a really sexual teenager, and so that obviously brought me a lot of problems in Cross Creek. And then when I got out, I just continued that because I was like, this is not a problem. This is just who I am. I'm just a really like sexual person. Which is true, but I think and I don't know if this is just me getting older and just realizing stuff. But I was just I was giving so much of my energy to men, through that, whether I was having sex with them or not.
Because
And
you're a goddess, you know?
Huh?
Because you're a goddess. You just give off all this energy.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's how you get like these creepy bog zombies.
But yeah, it's like my issues with men, I think, have always been a thing. I just think that it was like worked on in a really wrong way. And so I never wanted to work on it because it was it was too cross creaky, you know, because it was just done so poorly. And so I'm working on that now with like an actual therapist.
Amazing.
We're all about actual therapy. We're doing that too.
Yes, my therapist is so amazing. Her sister was sent to a WASP program, and so she already knows everything about that.
Well, what to not have to explain it and for her to like totally get it
and spend tons and tons of money just to talk about the rules, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Cross Creek affected more of my relationships than it did just the sex part, because that was always just like, you know, I just like to have a lot of sex, and I didn't think there was anything wrong with that, even when they did. And I never I would drink the juice and kind of say I had a problem with it, but I knew the truth. You know?
Right.
That's strength though, because I feel like the shame tactics sometimes get through to people who know that they're like, it's not even real.
Right. And like they tried so hard with the whole sex thing with me, and it just like, I didn't see a problem with it. I had to write out my sexual history and my sexual inventory, and send it home. Like, I had to write out my porn.
Shit.
And so I don't even think my dad read that, but I'm like, this is just ridiculous. But if you want me to do it, like, I will, you know, it's whatever.
But why do they want these girls to do this? This is so creepy. It's like they have a little erotica factory in there for pedophiles.
Well, it's actually, I did some research on it. It's called covert sexual abuse. When adults ask about sexual stuff to minors, it's like an actual thing. Like, you can't do that.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
Okay, hold on. At least give me 2 more sentences. I need to know a little bit more. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, I was watching, it was like, I think I was watching like Dr. Phil or some stupid shit. But it got brought up, and I was like, oh my God. And I looked it up, and it's like a real thing to ask about details of a minor is actually like illegal. Like, you can't do that. The fact that I had to write out every single time I had sex, how old they were, how old I was, what I said while I was orgasming, what he said while he was orgasming, what time of day it was, like literally the entire act from beginning to end, for every time. And then they called it the Yellow Pages because it was so thick, and I spent months on that.
I think I just threw up in my mouth.
Yeah, Mary, you missed out being a virgin. We had with the fourth
I don't even think I like watched porn until, no, that's not true, because we tried watching it in like 7th grade with one of my friends. We got caught by her parents, but like I didn't actually really watch porn until after I left and I was in college, like, then we just watched it for fun. But like, yeah, I know. I mean,
that's good.
I don't know. I was just a very sheltered, like, I had other problems, you know, like I had other fucking issues.
Yeah.
Not that like having sex is an issue, but like I just had other things preoccupied. Like, I was over 200 pounds as a teenager, and like there was no, like, if I had a crush on someone, and I did have a crush on someone, side note, I did have a crush on someone once, and like my whole class knew, they like made fun of me about it. Like, there was one time in science class where it was like everybody knew I had a crush on this guy named Spencer, and it was just like a fucking joke to them. So it was like I was being cock blocked before I could even like make a move, you know, like that wasn't happening. That wasn't happening.
Well, see, I was like that before a point, and then I hit a certain age and got pretty really fast.
Like, you grew boobs and shit.
Yeah, like that. But I also like got like I knew how to do my hair. I knew how to do my makeup. And so it literally changed over a summer because
Mm-hmm.
I was made fun of for being ugly my entire life. I mean, it was a huge problem.
Same.
and
Ugly,
so-
fat.
Oh yeah. I mean, you name it. And then so after that had happened, I think I was just so happy to have
Like
any
someone
sort
paying
of
attention to you.
from
Yeah.
a guy that
Mhm.
it was like addicting. I mean, that was my drug. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
I was just so, like, oh my God, like a boy looked at me. Like, it was just so insane.
Mhm.
And
And that in there, like, that is the problem, right? That's
Yeah.
the issue to be worked on, not like
Right.
the fact that you had sex with him and you orgasmed and whatever the fuck you said when you orgasmed. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Well, and like I didn't, like I started, like, if you want to quote unquote get in trouble, like that's when all that happened. That's when all that started, was when guys started to like me, because I wanted to sneak out to see guys. I wanted to sneak out to go to parties where there were guys that would probably like me, so it was like, that was the root of everything, instead of like, oh, she's getting in trouble and sneaking out and like partying and doing all this stuff. And it's like, but if there weren't guys there, I probably wouldn't have been motivated to go anywhere.
do you think that's like one reason why your parents sent you away?
Oh yeah. I mean, I still question why I was sent away. But my mom said when I brought her to therapy like years ago, she's like, you weren't sent for what you were doing, you're sent for who you were.
What?
Yes. I vaguely remember this. Did you say this in your podcast?
I probably did.
Yeah.
Because I had problems when I was like, I had behavior problems when I was a kid, like really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And all those problems stemmed around my parents, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't have those problems when I'm not around them. So yeah, I think my mom was almost sending me more for stuff that happened when I was a kid than for my teenager stuff.
Interesting. So fucking interesting.
But
yeah.
she's like, oh my God, we have a year left till she's 18,
Yeah.
So,
Gotta get her in there now before she's legal.
I don't think my parents cared that much about my partying. Because they were like, teenagers are going to be teenagers. Like, and I always knew that. Like, my sister did that too. But I think it was my attitude about it that they didn't like. That was like stemming from me as a kid. And so when they just hounded me about the partying, it's like, I really don't think that was the problem.
What's your relationship with your parents like now?
I completely cut them off.
Really?
Oh yeah. I do not speak to my parents.
And how long has that been going on?
Almost 2 years.
Wow. Does it stem from the school and everything that happened?
That's where it started, and I tried for years to have a relationship. But things kept happening that were like not good for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my parents never wanted to talk about the program.
Wow.
And they never wanted to have like an honest conversation, even when I like threw it in their face and said like, it's either this or we don't talk.
Mm-hmm.
And just major things would happen. And I went on a trip with my mom to Mexico, which was the last time I saw her. And she backhanded me in the airport going there.
What?
She called me she yelled in the customs line saying that I was horrible. And I was like, you will never speak to me like that in public ever again. And that was the last thing I said to her. And I wrote her like a very long edited letter. And I said, basically, we can't have a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't just one thing. It wasn't just the program. There were so many things that I could not be a part of anymore.
Yeah, no,
It just was not good for me.
I can imagine just from the fact that you said your parents didn't send you away for your behavior, they sent you away for who you are. Right. That is so fucking powerful.
Yeah. I mean, it's horrible. Like, don't have children.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just reconnected with my sister, kind of. I don't know if I want to continue, but
Okay.
she has a lot of the same issues with my parents, which I didn't know. And both of us can agree that my parents shouldn't have had children. And, you know, it's a shame because I kind of looked up to my parents for a long time.
Yeah.
And it just like, I can't imagine having children and like sending them away and saying it's because of who they are. And my mom blamed it on like, she was so suicidal because of how I was acting and that I took one for the team basically by going out of the equation for a little bit.
What?
Oh God.
Yeah. So
I feel like
It's a her problem.
Huh?
It sounds like it was a her problem then. I'm not sure why
It for
you
sure
got
does.
yeah.
But my mom is very dramatic and
Ooh,
you know,
can relate.
little things can very much like she can take them way out of proportion. Like she just is great and worries about everything, and so I can see that happening. But
I feel like that brings like a whole nother point to this because my mother is very much the same way. Just the amount of drama. My brother doesn't even really have that great of a relationship with my mom because of the amount of drama that can be drummed up in out of something so simple. And I feel like that's like a larger thing is like these people, because I've thought that about my parents too. My parents split up when I was very young. They got married too young. They didn't really know each other. And like, I just think like, what possessed you to have kids? Like, I just don't think either of you really were up for the challenge. I think it was more of like, I don't know if I could say this about anybody else's parents but mine, but I think it was a societal thing. Like, oh, you're supposed to like go to college, get married, have kids, that was our parents and our parents' parents kind of like, that was their, like, that's the life they, you know, that society told them to have.
yeah.
And I feel like it, like, and I think our generation knows now that that's not really the truth. And that's why we're not having children the same rates as other generations. But like, it's like, I just don't think some of these parents who sent their kids away, like, I just don't think they were either ready for children or that they should have had kids at all.
Yeah.
That's literally, how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, knowing what I know about my mom's history,
yeah,
because we've been kind of doing, me and my sister have kind of been doing research on that because my mother's never spoken about it. And so knowing what I know about her childhood and her growing up and everything, she should have known not to have children. Like,
yeah,
that should have been very dominant in her mind. And because I think my mom can be a really great person. I think like having her as a friend, like her friends really love her. I think, and she can be really cool or whatever, and like, you know, have fun and funny. But she got the mom thing wrong. You know, she doesn't know how to do it. She never got a good idea of how to do it from her family, and I think it was irresponsible of her.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think I could feel comfortable. I feel like I have said this to them, to say that to my parents. Like,
yeah,
you really should have known better, that you really were not up for this challenge. And that's why abortion needs to remain legal, guys.
Right. And my mom my mom had an abortion before us.
Oh, wow.
So,
shit.
And Meredith,
I think we've all had one, actually.
To get abortion, like to be aborted. Like, did you just hear her? She volunteered us retroactively.
To do what?
To be aborted?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I know it.
Like, I'm dazzled. I'm having a moment, you guys. Like, because in some dimension, it just heard her, and like I disappeared. We all did.
We all disappeared.
You know?
I wish I could go back and just like give my mom a condom, but
yeah, if we could just go back in time.
On your birthday,
I know.
like, just send it. Be like, hey, I'm sending this through time.
Yeah, just I'm gonna put an IUD in you. Just like don't do it. But like my sister, me, my mom, and my grandma have all had abortions.
Oh shit.
We're just like, yeah, no. Like, that's not
Wow.
a thing. But
I mean, I've never had to have an abortion because I think I'm infertile, but because but like I was actually just talking to a friend about this on Saturday night, and she told me she had an abortion, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't know this about you. And like, I don't know what it's like to go through that. I don't think I ever want to know. I just know that I just don't think I want kids, like,
yeah,
in the general
mine was
sense.
pretty uneventful. Like, you go
a
in,
pill.
you come out. I mean, no, I had like the surgical.
Yeah, my friend took
or
a pill.
whatever. Yeah, I was scared to do that.
Yeah,
but
I would be too.
I mean, I just was not ready, and that I wouldn't be ready now, but I was not ready at the time, and I was not, with a person I wanted to be with forever, and it just was not a thing. But I just can't imagine finally making that decision and being like, I'm gonna have a kid, and it not being the way you thought it was gonna be, and then you just completely don't know what to do. Because even though my sister didn't get sent away, she did not have a good time with my parents, like, he's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
And so it was hard for both of them, and I got the, worst of it.
Are you the older sister?
No.
Oh.
I'm the baby.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm.
So she was already out of the house by that point.
Yeah, my sister was in college when I got sent away.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so she didn't know I was gone until way after I was gone.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then was told that she wasn't allowed to contact me. Like, she wrote me 2 letters in there, which she's like, I would have written you more, but mom and dad said I couldn't. And then she was allowed to come to my phone calls, but I was told that she didn't want to, and my parents told her that she wasn't allowed to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The manipulation sounds fucking... Listen, I think some of our parents should have gone to these programs more than we should have.
Right.
I mean...
Well, I don't know how your program was, but, like, our parents had to do seminars with us. Or, like, with themselves, but do this, like, quote unquote same ones, even though they weren't the same.
My parents my parents did do some of that. Not quite the way,
Right.
But, like, they would go to meetings and stuff. It was called Al-Anon, because we followed the 12-step program for Alcoholics Anonymous, and so they had to go to, like, basically it was like meetings of like family members of alcoholics, quote unquote. Neither
Right.
Miranda or I are alcoholics or drug addicts.
Right.
But like, whatever your drug is, be bad behavior, sex, food, whatever the fuck. But yeah, so I don't know that Miranda has a different story, but
Mine did tough love, which is how I got.
That's right.
Allegedly, there's a tough love connection with Amway, and my parents were in Amway, which was started by Betsy DeVos's, like, father-in-law or something like that. Just a little side, like, thing that Lee told me. But anyways, so their, like, tough love person's daughter was actually already at the school. And so when we went up to the reunion years after, my best friend who I'd lived with, like, before and after the school, Paul, met her at the reunion, and then they eventually ended up getting married and having kids. But to that point, I just listened to your last cliche episodes, and I loved your conversation about guys and girls being friends. And I hard related, because I had this situation with this girl from the tough love that I went to the school with marrying my best friend, and then being like, you can't be part of the equation anymore. And I was like, oh my God, dude, he's my daughter's godfather. Like, what's up? So, but I'm not throwing shade. I completely understand. She's traumatized and she's been through some shit, and she didn't trust my relationship. But it was,
oh my God. That just really upsets me.
I know, I was mad for you too. And like Tori, like, she's such a rational person. I totally agree with her. I love the everybody agreeing with each other. But I was like, no, we have to, like, be upset for her because it hurts.
I know. Yeah,
You know?
and she makes a good point in saying that, it's like logic goes out the window when you're talking about feelings, but I'm like, dude, but it sucks. Like it's just not fair. Like it doesn't make sense to me,
Yeah, like what about my feelings?
Right. Well, and it's just, I would never want to be with someone that's that jealous. Like that doesn't sound good to me. And so it's hard for me to imagine that, but ugh.
Whereas I am also that jealous. So I am A, that jealous, and B, want my guy friends back, So it's like both.
I know.
I want to have it all.
I can be a really jealous girlfriend, but I haven't been a girlfriend in a long time. So it's hard for me to say. But
I spare the world the wrath of that,
Yeah, same. It's been a while for me too.
But yeah, and I actually recently just had my ex-boyfriend. So my ex-boyfriend that went to Cross Creek with me.
Oh shit.
Who I've talked about a lot.
He went to Cross Creek. Oh, to visit, or he went there with you?
He was there with me, and then we dated when we got out.
I didn't realize that. I never put that together. I must have missed the episode where you said that, by the way.
Well, so I didn't know him before I left.
Okay.
And then our parents were friends while we were in there because we were Colorado kids. So when we got out, we met up. And instantly fell in love, and we were like Cross Creek kids, and it was like, dramatic thing. And we had a very horrible, long, years and years breakup thing, and like just horrible. We went years without speaking. He slept with like 6 of my friends.
Wow. Jesus.
Just, like I burned his stuff in the mountains, it was just like horrible. Yeah, as I should. And then we became really good friends, and he's the beneficiary of my will. And yeah. And just recently he's like, we can't hang out anymore because I'm seeing someone. And I was like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, because you're friends now.
And we haven't dated since I was 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, this isn't the first time this has happened to Rose Meredith.
I know. This is horrible. I'm like, am I just the girl? I think that's just my, like, it might just be my aura,
Yeah.
Like, guys don't want to say that they're friends with me just because of the way I look, I think.
I mean,
yeah. My poor roommate, he like brings girls home, and like, I think he's scared to like introduce them to me because they're like, wait, what?
Oh my gosh.
Well, he could say you're his sister. Sister.
Well, we kind of do. We say that. I mean, and that's a big, like, even for him, he's like, dude, if someone like gets intimidated by you, like they're not meant for me. I'm like, that's a good point.
That's very fair.
Listen, I think it's just like a whole other, it's hard for me too. I think that's like our society though. Like we're living in like this fucking like post-feminist society where men are just like scared of women now because they're going to be like, oh, I tried to make a move and then she like Me Too'd me and called the cops. And it's like these fucking like, I just feel like that's a whole broader fucking thing with men. And quite frankly, I just haven't met a man that like is worth my fucking time.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, to date is friends and dating are different, right?
Right.
But like, I have such high expectations. If I want to actually like give you my time to date you, like that just seems crazy to me right now because I can't even find someone worth to spend 5 minutes with.
Yeah.
Or
maybe we're just like fucked up from our institutionalizations, and
that's what I asked you
that might be part of it, but like, at the same time, like intellectually, like I just feel like I'm like, how high is your IQ? Like, why are you sitting across from me right now? Like,
because you and I have so many guy friends, and they're excellent human beings, and they're talented and considerate and compassionate, and they care about us. Our standards are high for what we use in that one-on-one intimate relationship.
Right.
And also, I just have like massive trust issues, I think, that
Oh, yeah.
stem from the school, and also my ex just kind of like, was just like, there were some trust things, like, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure he cheated on me and like things like that. So it's like, you know, I just have
Mhm.
like, there's just like a real big hump to get over for me to like trust you.
Right. I mean, and that's most people, right? Like we've all
Yeah.
had that. But I don't know, my issues with men have kind of like changed and evolved over the years and
Yeah.
like just gotten worse, or my expectations are too high. I'm really not sure. But I really don't have time for like, you know, settling for anything less than perfect.
Well, if you have
And
to pick one person, there's so many out there and so many of them are great. If you have to pick one, they have to be perfect for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
and see, I look at it as that so many of them are horrible.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah, well, some of them suck too, you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And I'm just like, I'm so busy. I work 6 days a week. My time is very like
Valuable.
It's very valuable. I like go to the gym all the time. I like don't have time to like, to like cater to you, because a lot of men they say like they want an independent person, but they don't. They want someone that's needy.
Yeah,
And
they want someone to need that. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. And I
100%.
don't need anybody, and I never have, because
Preach.
I never could rely on anyone. You
Yeah.
know, and I don't want to rely on anyone. I think that's a huge thing for me. I can't, because something's going to happen and they're going to let me down, and then I'm going to be screwed.
Yeah.
And that's why I make my own money. I don't even let guys pay for my dinner, you guys.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Fuck, if I go on a first date, it's like they're paying. Especially
no,
if they
I don't like them paying, and I do not like compliments because I feel like they're manipulation.
Yeah, I do too.
I do have an issue with the compliments too, because it's like, especially if it's like just too much, it's overdone. It's just like sounds like you're desperate.
Yeah. Well, and like, how about you say something like important? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Compliment my opinion on something instead of what I wear, what I look like, or how funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That.
And it's
yeah.
like, it's just the whole dating thing is just pretty gross. And then it's like, and then I have to like talk about my past. I feel like it comes up.
Yeah, and that's
I'm
something
like,
I
oh, God.
don't mention. I don't talk about my past at all. I'm like, yeah, I went to and because I actually got a dual diploma from my high school in my district where I lived, and I just say I graduated from there. Like, I don't even go into it until like I have to be I really have to trust you. To talk about it.
I'm like blasting it all over the social medias. I don't give a fuck. I am like, this happened. It's still happening. So speaking of your precious time, Rose, because Meredith said we were going to sum it up 30 minutes ago, and I did it for 6 hours. It's happened. So when did you have this click moment for what was going on, like for the fact that you survived the troubled teen industry and institutional abuse, and what does that mean to you? That like, what is a survivor to you?
Oh man. I mean, I think being a survivor changes, I don't think I was surviving for the first like 13 years.
Yeah.
I got really heavily into drugs when I got out.
Wow.
And I'm not an addict, but I definitely did a lot of drugs. I was, extremely suicidal up until like last year.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was just a very, very, very long time of, you could say surviving, but not really.
Right.
And so
just like going from day to day.
I mean, trying to like live, you know,
Just waking up
Literally.
and going to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so many. I mean, we lost 14 people to suicide last year, and that's not people that I didn't know. That's just people I knew.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think surviving is just, I think talking about it has helped a lot, you know, reaching out has helped a lot. You know, I talk to a lot of people in my job, and when they talk about their kids, I'm almost like an advocate for their kids because no one was an advocate for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of them have even expressed wanting to send their kids away. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, dude, don't.
Let me be the one to stop you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a thing. And so, I mean, I think, it took me a long time to get to that, like, click moment of being a survivor, like over a decade.
Yeah.
And some people don't even get to that, you know?
Yeah, that's why it's the way it is.
Yeah. And my therapist has to like remind me like every session. She's like, you know, she's like, you survived this. Like, go back and like put in your mind that like Rose survives this, you know? It just took her a little bit, but she did it. And like a lot of people don't get to say that.
Oh, I like that.
So, yeah.
I'm going to start saying that now.
Right.
Beautiful. Your therapist is great. Like, we kind of need a network of therapists that are focused on this kind of mental health support.
Yeah. And I see her tomorrow. She's like amazing. She mostly deals with, like childhood trauma. It's like a huge thing that she does.
Wow.
And most of, you know, a lot of what her sister went through. Her sister went to Paradise Cove.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah. And, you know, her sister like still has struggles, you know, and she's in her like 40s or 50s. And so it's nice to have a therapist that gets it, because it's so hard to find one that does. So,
Yeah.
But there's definitely shopping. You have to shop around for the right one.
Yeah, if you have the
Yeah.
luxury to do
And you have to
so,
be ready.
we need to get more of it accessible to people who don't.
Yeah, I'm on Medicaid right now, and I'm lucky I got a good therapist, but it's basically like this clinic style. Right. I'm lucky because I live in New York City, and there's like plenty of opportunity here to be poor.
Right.
But like, you know, yeah, like,
yeah. And I honestly probably wouldn't have gone to therapy before I started making really like good money.
Yeah.
Because I was always worried about money. And then it was interesting because a lot of my problems, like I kind of had this, like I was doing good for a long time. And then it was like one day I was like in the bathtub every night, like cutting myself and drinking and crying every night. And I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening? And it was around the time where I really got financially established. And it was almost like I didn't have to worry about that part in my life anymore.
Yeah.
And then all this other shit came up again. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And so I spend a lot of money she's $180 an hour.
Wow.
And that she's worth it.
Yeah.
So, but,
I was
before that.
Yeah, I was at the point last summer where I just had like a bad year. My dad has cancer and all this, like my stepfather, and I was like just really down, and I was on this waiting list for like months, and I was at the point where I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna pay. Like I will work an extra shift. I will do what I have to do because I can't justify the expense anymore. I need this. And, but like, I feel bad for people. Like there are people that I know from our school and from just like friends of friends. And like, they just can't afford it. They literally are like, it's either therapy or like food.
I know. And I totally understand that because I've been there.
Yeah.
And I wasn't paying for therapy at that time, and it probably would have helped, but I didn't have money.
Yeah.
And
a lot of people don't.
Make it accessible. Maybe that needs to be a mission.
I know, but there's a lot of really horrible therapists out there too.
Yeah,
that's sure.
It's just like anything, you get what you pay for, but
that's true.
yeah, I was at a point where I was like, you know, I mean, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm planning out how to kill myself. Like, I don't know where to go. Like, I was like, what's going on? You know?
Yeah.
So,
That's what this summer was for me.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, amazing.
Amazing.
Well, I think we like covered it all, like sex, dating, therapy, and institutionalized abuse.
Yay!
A win for a Sunday night. It's the 2220, so that's some sort of ritualistic blessing, right?
Yeah,
I know. And it's like, what? It's like Super Bowl or whatever that is.
Yeah, it's Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, Puppy Bowl's tonight, so the football should be today.
So the football's almost over. I think.
Good. It'll be safe to drive.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Rose, thank you so much for coming on. And please plug your podcast, because if people haven't heard your podcast is a reason this podcast exists. So plug away.
Oh my God, thank you. That's so sweet. I will.
Yeah. So
no, I mean, like, literally tell us about your podcast. Like,
like right now. Yeah.
Oh,
go for it.
Do it.
What's the name of it?
It's called The Timeout Room.
Yes, that's right.
And it's on, oh my God, I'm on Anchor, I'm on Castbox, Spotify, Apple. I think you can find it everywhere.
Literally.
Yeah.
Just look up The Timeout Room and
yeah.
We'll have links and stuff too, you know.
Oh yeah,
because that's what the kids are doing, putting the links in the box, you know.
Yeah, and I do it by myself, but I also have guests on it sometimes. So I talk a lot about the program, but then I talk about other stuff. So, but yeah, my whole life is on there. I feel like guys should just like listen to my podcast, and then they'll just know everything about me before they go on a date with me.
Yeah, that's what you should just put in your like Tinder profile. Like, just listen to the podcast first. Just a link here. And
I've actually had guys like ask me that, like, can I listen to it? And I was like, yeah, no, that's not. I really don't want you to, but.
But also that'd be horrifying with a narcissist, because they'd think they knew how to play so many games with you at first. But you're smart. You'd see it.
Oh, I see it. I'm used to that. Yeah. Ew. But yeah, I stopped dating, so it doesn't matter.
Same. Yeah. I'm saving myself for like some interdimensional like romance, because wild.
I'm saving myself for my next life.
Yeah. I just want to meet someone like at the grocery store, but you know.
Oh my God, that's so 1950s. That doesn't happen anymore.
I know, but
you never know.
I go to the grocery store a lot.
That's a good place to meet the guys that wear the right like length shorts for sure.
I know, like we're both like going for the same like gluten-free noodles. Like I can just see it now.
My beet fettuccine. Oh my gosh, I'm so down.
That's gonna be like a great little trailer for this podcast,
right? Oh.
We'll just use that. Okay, ladies. Well, thank you. And sorry for the technical difficulties, which, oh my God, before I said it, nobody noticed because we covered it up real well. But yeah.
It's totally fine. We'll sign off.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rose. Let's keep in touch. Let's like all these survivors, you know, all of our stories. We're a community now.
Yeah,
we've joined the sisterhood. Yeah.
Yes.
Blood sisters forever. All right, you guys have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.